Seth. Seth Rollins has got to be one of the most ridiculous superstars to ever be in WWE. And the thing is, for someone who is so overrated, who shows no personality at all on these shows, on WWE programming, he definitely gets himself into scrapes, to say the least. Now, the last one was just about 2 or 3 weeks ago against Sasha Banks. When Sasha was making fun of Seth, and people were chalking this up to be heat, between Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. But, the simple fact of the matter is Seth Rollins deactivated his Twitter account, proving that it really wouldn't have been fake. It seemed like Sasha Banks got a little bit carried away because I've said in my previous video, just like with the WWE 2K20 rating, she's an a-hole. So, but Seth, got all triggered. He deactivated his Twitter account. So, by default, he lost that war of words with Sasha Banks, if you could even call it that. It was really like a pathetic fight. Like, she says like one thing to him, deactivate the account. So, now Seth Rollins is now even stooped even lower. So, first it was fighting with his fellow employees, his fellow wrestlers, his fellow WWE superstars. I'm just fighting with everybody these days. Now he's fighting with fans. And so let's get the proper context. We are going to head over to Seth Rollins' Twitter page. We're going to see what kind of garbage he's getting himself into today. And here we go. Here's Seth Rollins. So, here's a nice picture of Seth with his sister. Not a bad looking sister, but that's besides the point. We're not here to talk about that. So here's David Weissman, a blue check mark. I don't even know who this guy is. Let's see. Okay, a political account, which is really interesting, but Vince Russo follows him. I don't even know who this guy is, to tell you the truth. But anyway, he's tweeting about wrestling, which is interesting. Is the Falls Count Anywhere championship match between Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins going to end in a DQ? I mean, their Hell in a Cell match did, SMH. And, this is like I'm surprised like a blue check mark that has nothing to do with wrestling is even calling out Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt. First of all, it's not even Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt's fault. I'm defending Rollins. It's not even their fault. Blame creative, blame Vince McMahon. But I'm sorry, you can't really even blame Seth Rollins. It's not his fault. He doesn't book the matches. So it's really funny. I don't know where this guy came from. He just came out of left field. But anyway, Seth Rollins, I guess because it is a blue check mark, he replies to him. Correction, it ended in a ref stoppage. When a body isn't moving, the official has to make the right call. Well, is that so, Seth? Because somebody was armed and ready with a response here. And you're going to get the proper context here. This guy, Cody, who radio personality, indie wrestling commentator, never even heard of him. How is this guy even getting a blue check mark when he's only got 1,300 followers? I thought you had to have at least 100,000 followers or something. I thought that was the case. But anyway, you got a nice gif here of Undertaker choke slamming Mick Foley right through the top of the Hell in the Cell. Kind of making Seth look like a fool because, as we all know, this match was not stopped. And that's funny because even before this, he was thrown through the table at ringside right off the top. 2 horrific bumps. Neither bump, the match was stopped. They made like they were going to stop it, but then the match then continued on. Remember when Mick Foley got up from the stretcher and ran back down to the ring. And so Seth Rollins has to respond to this, of course, and make things even worse on himself. So he's already been caught looking ridiculous here. I imagine Mick and Taker might have liked the ref to stop the match there. Might have added a few more years to Mick's incredible career. Just a thought. Oh, and Scott Casey Gale got even in on the action here. Scott actually said, let's see what my friend has to say about that, Seth, because you need a history lesson, reality check. Please don't insult our intelligence, Seth. Mick Foley and Undertaker would not stand for referee stoppage. So you have no room to talk, Seth Rollins. Exactly. Scott Casey Gale's got an amazing point there. You don't deserve the right to even talk in this case, because Mick Foley and The Undertaker are all the way up here, and you're all the way down here, like right at shoe level. You're subterranean, buddy. So I would not even, be even like commentating on what they want and what they wanted their match to be. This match was absolutely 100% perfect. It's one of the greatest matches of all time. If you ask me what my favorite hardcore, most brutal match of all time is, it's this match. It's one of my top 10 favorite matches of all time. And I think you can see why. I mean, both of these guys putting their bodies through hell, especially Mick Foley, in this match to entertain everybody and to put on a good show. That had to have been one of the cringiest things I have ever seen. I mean, Seth Rollins saying that Mick Foley and The Undertaker should have had their match stopped. Seth, stop defending creative. I know that, you want to have a job there for a really long time, but no one is forcing you. I am sure Vince is not forcing you to get on Twitter and to make a fool out of yourself. This stuff is optional. Not all the wrestlers are on Twitter. You don't see, you do see a good portion of them, but you don't see all of them, doing this type of business here online, if you could even call this business. This is you simply making a genuine 100% grade A fool out of yourself. You're all over the place. Mankind and Undertaker would have appreciated this if that was the finish to their match. No, if their match had that kind of finish, that match would have not gone down in history the way that it did. Now, I mean, that was first of all, those two had way bigger bumps than you ever did in any of your Hell in a Cell matches. Whether it was the one with Kevin Owens or Dean Ambrose, those Hell in the Cells, they're total garbage, nonsense, forgettable encounters. Now, I get it. Especially nowadays, wrestlers are getting injured like there's no tomorrow. But you know what's funny? Why did both The Undertaker and Mankind get through this match and they wrestled like about a week later? Because they both worked with each other well, there was good communication in there, and they were doing far more dangerous stuff. But meanwhile, I'm hearing that Bray Wyatt actually got injured inside the Hell in a Cell with you, Seth. So again, another injury. This guy ended Sting's career. I can't stress this enough about Seth Rollins. Just how horrible of a talent he truly is. Now, is he athletic? Does he have talent? Well, of course he does. But if you're asking me, is he a good wrestler? I'm going to say hell no, because I don't think that he is. I don't think that a guy who ends another career and doesn't really seem too broken up about it, I wouldn't really consider him to be a good talent. I wouldn't really consider him to be, as Seth Rollins says right here. Let's go back here for a minute. What does it say? Best wrestler alive. Do you really think that, Seth? Because best wrestler alive is... last time I checked, Bret Hart is still alive. Stone Cold is still alive. Mick Foley, The Undertaker, who you just mentioned in your tweets, is still alive. So, I would not be saying that you're the best of all time by any means. I would say you're probably one of the most overrated of all time. I would say you might be one of the worst main eventers of all time, one of the worst world champions of all time. I would say that one of the worst top guys of all time. I mean, I've said it in the past. How many times do I have to keep saying it? Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Stone Cold, John Cena, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins. I mean, you don't fit there, pal. You just don't fit into things and what you think when you think of a big star in WWE or a main eventer or a world champion. I mean, honestly, like this type of behavior from Seth Rollins is getting ridiculous. I mean, it's a joke. How are you putting this guy at the top of your company when he acts this way? And this is how he's talking about one of the greatest matches of all time. It should have ended in rest stoppage. Like he should have just stopped right there. I mean, did he need to reply that? I mean, how did he think that was going to go over? And to everyone who always says that, oh, they're playing a part, they're, playing into their character. Sure they are. Sure, that's exactly what Seth is doing. He's making himself seem totally uncool by saying, oh, it should have ended in ref stoppage. I mean, come on. If it ended in ref stoppage, Mankind versus The Undertaker, everybody would have booed. They would have booed their hearts out. That match would have not went over the way that was. Now, I mean, people would have been shocked. They would have been, still overcome all the same, like when Mankind was, like, taking up the entrance ramp. People were more shocked, so they weren't booing. But they would have been disappointed. They would have went home saying, I really wish that match could have had a finish. There would have, it would have been nice to see what could have happened if Mankind got up. And it did. He ended up getting back in the ring, and he ended up finishing that match, because that's what Mankind was. He was more of a wrestler. He was more of a tough guy than Seth Rollins would ever be. I mean, take a look at Seth Rollins. Does this look like a guy that should even be in a Hell in a Cell match? I mean, does he look like a tough guy? I mean, remember when Vince McMahon had a hard time taking John Morrison seriously as a tough guy? And John Morrison actually looks like a star? So Seth Rollins, if John Morrison doesn't look like a star, what does that make Seth Rollins? I don't even want to know. But, I mean, needless to say, this was so cringeworthy. Seth, you're pathetic, man. I mean, to come out and say this garbage on Twitter, and to say, like, that Undertaker and Mankind should have played it safe. Undertaker did not end Mankind's career on that night. And Mick Foley didn't end The Undertaker's career that night. And it was one of the most dangerous matches of all time. You had a basic match with Sting, and you treated him like garbage. You did not take care of him in the ring. You treated him like a sack of dirt, and you're not even apologetic about it. I think you said a little something in passing, but to me, I didn't buy it, because you should have been way more careful. You were supposed to be a pro. You were the champion in that match, and you did not take care of Sting. How come all these guys that wrestled Sting, I have to even say Samoa Joe, for example, how come he didn't get injured against Samoa Joe? And Samoa Joe is a stiff worker, by the way, and somehow, some way, didn't get injured with Samoa Joe. And I don't like Samoa Joe, but I have to say, he got in the ring with Samoa Joe and didn't injure him. But somehow, he got in the ring with you, Sting got in the ring with you, and he ended up getting out injured. So, there you go. I mean, if you need any more proof that this guy is a total tool bag, and he sucks, he really, really sucks, look no further than these tweets. Look no further than his career. Seth Rollins, you're a sack of garbage, pal. Oh, yeah. And guys, if you enjoyed the video, let me know what you think down below. Comment, do you think that Seth Rollins was right? Should have they ended the match at King of the Ring 1998? And had one of the most disappointing finishes of all time? Or do you think that Seth Rollins is a total tool bag. He's a moron. He's a goofball. He's an idiot. And let me know what you think down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.